Good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the Namaste Experience. As always, I am here, and we are all here. There's only thing but here. There's nothing else. This is the whole thing, right here, right now. There's no other place I'd rather be. You guys know that song? Right here, right now. There is no other place I want to be. Watching the world wake up from history. That's interesting. Forget who sang that song. It was a big song in, I think, the 90s. Watching the world wake up from history, from the past. That's what history is, right? History is always our dependence upon what we thought was and our dreams of what we hope will be, instead of right here, right now. This is where the action is. This is where it all is. And when we are here in this moment, we begin the deep dive. You know, right before session, I was in the other room and I had an image come into my mind regarding that deep dive, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. And what I saw in my mind was me, I guess, diving deep with all of the scuba gear on, the oxygen on my back and the masks so I could see. And I imagined diving deeper than ever before, going so deep below the waves. And what kind of trust would it take to be that deep and then to take off the mask? Let the oxygen tank just roll off my back. What kind of trust would that require? Some of you are looking at me like, it would take a lot. Do you realize that's what's being asked of us? We can't bring anything with us from the surface. When we're on the surface and we're putting on all that gear and the mask and the oxygen, when we get to a certain depth, which is where I promise you we are, if you want to go deeper, you have to let it all go. Let it just roll off your back. The idea that I will die if I don't hold on to it, if I don't keep that oxygen tank close by, I'm going to lose everything. No, you're going to gain everything. I realize that's the point that we're all at, if we would choose to be there. Now, there are many that are content to play along the ocean's shore, collecting shells and shiny rocks, and that's fine. There are others who will venture out a little way, but they're going to make sure that their feet can still touch the sand. And still, there are others who will go out just a little bit further where they can't touch the bottom anymore, but they're still secure. Because they're afraid that the undertow is going to grab hold of them and pull them out. Oh, wouldn't that be terrible? But in this sense, it's what you want. You want to be pulled out. And then you find yourself completely helpless. You find yourself in the vast ocean, ready to dive. And yes, there are those who are content to never go there. Or actually, they will, because this is required. Ultimately, we all dive at one time or another, in one way or another. We have to dive to the deepest part of this ocean of grace. But it's still scary for the souls that have not come to that point that all of you have come to. It's not making it better or worse or higher or lower. It's just a point of spiritual maturity. Where is that dog? My dog, of course. That point of spiritual maturity, where it's the only thing you want. You're not holding on to anything else. The dogs are playing. In the midst of all of this, how could that happen? Don't they know what's happening here? Aren't they aware of the depths at which we are diving? But they are here to remind us to also be playful, aren't they? Don't take ourselves too seriously in this deep dive. After all, dog backwards is right. Bodhi. Maybe someone could just pick her up and put her in the bag. He's getting all excited. Okay, I want to read something that I always hesitate to say that I wrote, because it's more like it wrote me. When these things come through, it's more like they're rewriting the circuits. They're rewriting all of those codes that perhaps have gotten a little bit out of whack. And you find yourself in alignment again with the flow, the energies flowing. And this is when we're ready to take that deep dive. So let's talk about that. So it says, we continue now with our deep dive into the direct experience of the love that created and maintains you. A deep dive into the actual experience of the love that created and maintains you. Remember, only the direct experience of this love will give you what you are really seeking. Because, and this is very important, any indirect approach, trying to get there indirectly, will leave you wanting more. And the experience of wanting more is what maintains the split mind's dominance. The desire for more. There has to be more. We hear a simple teaching. We hear simple wisdom expressed by someone who is in that direct experience. And there is a tendency to say, there must be something more than that. That's so simple. That's right. No, there's nothing more than that. But we do have this need and this urge to complicate that which needs no complication, simply because we really want to keep it out here. We don't want the direct experience. This community, this gathering, all of us, whether we're here physically or anywhere in the world, we're here because this is all we talk about, is the direct experience of this. To dive to the deepest part of the ocean, to let that oxygen tank just slide off your back. There's nothing that will save you now. There's nothing that will save you now. Okay, back to this. Remember, only the direct experience of this love will give you what you're really seeking, because any indirect approach will leave you wanting more. And it's the experience of wanting more that maintains the split mind's dominance. The direct experience of the real, of reality, dissolves the desire for something more than everything. That's key. That is key. Let me read it again. The direct experience of your reality, who you really are, dissolves the desire for something more than everything. This is how we are trapped by the egoic split mind. The idea that there's something more than everything. You get to the point where you realize the impossibility of that idea. There's no such thing as more than everything. And you have been called to everything. You have been called to receive it all. Not here, but here. See, this is where it gets confused. Receive everything? Oh, okay. Let me use the law of attraction now to get more. Thinking that more will somehow satisfy me. And it never will. It never has. So why would that change? Why would it be different in the future? The more is always here, and everything is right here. So once again, it's only the direct experience of your reality, the love that holds and maintains you, that gives you that. There's no such thing as more than everything, since everything is within you now. The need to wrestle with this idea has passed. We've done that a lot, haven't we? Let's wrestle with this concept. Let's see if I can win this wrestling match. My teacher once said, if you want to do battle with God, because you're always going to lose. And it's a battle you want to lose. You don't want to win that battle. You don't want to win that wrestling match. Surrender. Only then will you perceive this reality, the same reality that never stops perceiving you. Only then will you be able to rest within this love, the same love that rests within you perfectly. So the idea that there's more, there could be more of something. I don't even know what it is, but the ego mind always stretching out, trying to get there, like a carrot on a stick. If I can just get that carrot, if I can just get whatever it is I think in my mind I need, but you never do. So here you are now, you've come to this point, this sacred opportunity of letting it all go, letting that oxygen tank just slide off your back and trusting I'll be able to breathe here. I'm going to let that fall off my back. I'm going to take off my mask and I'm going to take a deep breath. Hey, it worked. I didn't die. I have gills. We have capabilities that we didn't know we had. They were always inherent within the soul, but which I neglected, which I denied. I neglect and deny no more. So here we are in the deep end of the ocean with a single desire. Remember, it's the single desire for this that creates the connection. There are going to be lots of other things that we're going to want with a small w. But there's only one thing to want with a capital W, and that's everything. But not the everything of the ego, because the ego idea of everything is just more stuff. Yeah. Some of you have been moving lately. Where's Carol? Some people just move down the street sometimes, and you're astounded at how much stuff you accumulate. One of the most freeing things you could do is just give it all away. I remember 2.5 years ago, the very beginning of COVID, we were moving from the house in Portland that we had for many years into another house a few miles away. And we of course went to the garage and went through everything to decide what we're going to take, what we need, what we can get rid of. At that time, though, none of the like Salvation Army, Goodwill, they weren't taking anything. There was so much fear around COVID that they couldn't even take your furniture. So what did we do? Just put it out on the sidewalk. Let people come and take what they want. Within about a day, everything was gone. Just give it all away. There's nothing here worth keeping. I hate to tell you. Because everything here has always kept you. Everything here has kept you safe, kept you sacred, kept you whole. And that's what you're really seeking. Last night, we showed the interview that I did with James Finley. And this morning, Bethel comes to the breakfast table just shining because she had been watched. She was so turned on by him. She went and watched a whole bunch of other videos. And she said, I just love him. Just listening to him talk fills me with such joy. I can feel it. And that's because when we're with people who hold that frequency, it's like the strings of a guitar that begin to vibrate without even touching them. You pluck one and the others begin to vibrate. That's what we're here for. James Finley's a great example, but no more so than any of us. No more so than any of us. That's why we're here. So, Vicky, I shall turn to thee now to hear what you would like to share. Good morning to you.
Blessings, Brother James, and everybody. Good morning. So the first thing that hit me is in this space of the willingness to go with wholly empty hands into that deep dive. It's really the willingness to let everything be instead of trying to get away from anything or to anything. This is the simple part of it. It's if we're going to dive deep into this moment, it's not about the outer things or where we even find ourselves. It's about this whole acceptance. Let it be. And what is, what really is, and what somehow comes to us when we stop adjusting and fixing and looking for the more or getting away from the uncomfortable. Somehow what comes to us is a natural fullness. And that fullness brings gratitude. It brings this natural, like bountiful gratitude that wants to celebrate. And because it feels like it's already of everything, there's no thought of more or less or here or there, so that everywhere becomes heaven, everywhere. Because not because it isn't or it is, because we're finally being with it without adjustment of any kind. That's, for me, diving deep is really letting it all be and letting myself, like Jesus sent out the disciples with staff and sandals, bring nothing. We bring nothing. We don't change anything. We let everything be what it is. And by wholly being open without anything to fix it in any way, we cannot help but find ourselves because we're not covering it up anymore with false desires. All the adjustments are just desires of separation. They're just desires to be something different somewhere, somehow. And then what was the other thing? Oh, I had another one, but I forget what it is now. I guess it doesn't matter. It's all always right where we are. No holy ground to go to, no deep place to have to jump off a cliff. This deep place is the willingness to let everything be as it is and be present. Just be present. And then be present with whoever's in front of us, whatever's in front of us, just by listening. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I'm back and I was in Boston and now I'm in Bangor, Maine again. My cousin's 90th birthday. And she just literally was moved into a wonderful place to live. And her daughter gave away everything, literally everything, all her life's little treasures, and she had collected many is not the right word. She had a store of treasures. And as we were sitting there last night, she felt badly about several things. But then she said, and I'm just listening. And she looked at me and she said, gee, I look at you and I don't feel like you're trying to think of what to tell me. She said, I can tell you're really listening to me, because I was listening to her call out for, I miss my things. I miss this, I miss that. And then where she's 90, she lost every life treasure she had, literally. And she said, it doesn't matter. I wanted to love my daughter because it was her daughter that filled up 4 giant dumpsters with her and beautiful things, not just crystal chandeliers and beautiful furniture. She just wanted to get rid of it all. And Vicky came to that, it's her name. She came to that herself. I never said a word. I was just sitting there being with her. And that's tuning into a frequency. We can tune into the frequency of the light that we share. When we listen to one another and we listen with love, it's not trying to change them. I wasn't trying to say, oh, Vicky, I know that's terrible, or I feel so bad. I was just letting her be the frequency she was. And in being right where she was, it fell away. And her great desire was to love her daughter. Didn't want to yell at her or, anything, make her feel bad. She wanted to love her. So then I said, oh, Vicky, this is so wonderful. And it was. We started to celebrate. She opened up a bottle of champagne. So we drank champagne. And then I said, Vicky, she said, what kind of music do you like? And I said, well, I try to keep a frequency of joy. So I only listen to things that bring me, that I can feel that joy. So I put on, and some of you will know, this little 13-year-old boy that I stumbled across by accident because I don't watch the show, on Britain's Got Talent. He's a little young boy that sings with a choir. His name is Malachi. You can look him up on Britain's Got Talent. And he sang Jesu Pia, Pio. I don't know how to say it. This boy, the frequency is pure. This boy radiated. Vicky is sitting next to me. She'd never seen him or heard. She started tears literally falling down her face, crying with the joy of the frequency. She had let go of, she lost all her furniture literally overnight, all her clothes, fur coats. She had 200, she had done many things, costumes and all kinds of things, all gone overnight. And she's just sitting there and I'm with her. And she moved without any push into loving my daughter is more important, into gratitude, and then opening to the joy of that pitch of love that was coming through this young boy. His name, his voice, it's like hearing the purity and the innocence of love. And she sat with her champagne glass and tears running down her face with nothing but gratitude. That's how practical this is. That's how simple it is. And it's always right in front of us. Today's lesson, I loosed the world from all I thought it was. Well, what are we loosening? We're loosening ourselves, each of us, from everything we thought we were. She had mink coats and chandeliers and fancy furniture, loosened from everything she thought she was, and not by her choice at all, but somehow the strength of trust and love somehow was able to surface. And that's what's happening with us. Let everything be what it is. Let love surface. Let that pitch of joy find itself in us. And then we cry for joy. We cry out of the greatest gratitude. Our hearts just bust open to bless each other and love each other. So that's my story of my cousin Vicky. I'm back in Bangor. I'm at Rod and Jody's house right now.
Dr. Rod, please give them our love. We love them both.
Thank you, everybody. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. I'm just breathing that in for a moment. The feeling of diving to the deepest part and then letting the oxygen tank just roll off your back, taking off the mask, taking a deep breath, and knowing all is well. I can breathe even here. Things that I didn't even know I possessed, gills appear where they've always been. But we have to trust. We have to allow all of those other things to drop away. And even though, as with cousin Vicky, that may have seemed a bit dramatic, you come to the point where the release of all of those things become what set us free. So I want to close with one paragraph from A Course in Miracles that I've quoted so many times. But to me, this is the whole thing. If you want to take all, 1,500 pages, whatever it is of the Course, and bring it down to one paragraph, for me, this would be it. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. All concepts you have learned about the world. All images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, or good or bad. Of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you any thoughts, a single thought that the past has taught you, nor one belief that you ever learned before from anything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God. Wholly empty hands. We're all going to end up in the same place as Cousin Vicky. So why not now? Why not enjoy the freedom that it brings us now of being so empty and yet so filled with grace? Filled with grace. Are you ready? That's your cue, Scott.
All right.
Scott Grace. Why don't you, before you do start, I'll say that I am going to be gone all week. I'm going to be on pop duty in Portland. And we have a few other people who are going to be taking things out, just completely lifting us. So I'll be with you in spirit, but I need to bring Penny to school at the same time when the session happens. So I'll be taking Penny to school. All right, Scott.
Gonna keep this really simple, I promise. So I want this to be a sing-along. Leave your stuff at the sidewalk. Leave your cares at the door. Enter the ocean deeply. Grace forevermore. Grace forevermore. Now help me remember that. Leave your cares, leave your stuff at the sidewalk. Leave your cares at the door. Enter the ocean deeply. Grace forevermore. Leave your stuff at the sidewalk. Leave your cares at the door. Enter the ocean deeply. Grace forevermore. Leave your stuff at the sidewalk. Leave your cares at the door. Enter the ocean deeply. Grace forevermore. Grace forevermore. Grace
I just love being able to turn to you and just get some little gem like that. It's amazing. So thank you, everyone. Blessings to you all. Have an amazing weekend. Of course, you can join us here for the Unity service at noon, 12 here, and that would Eastern time would be 2. So have a beautiful. Oh, what's the website, Jack?
UnityNamaste.org.
Unity. It's so easy. UnityNamaste.org. You can go there and you can watch it right there. All right, we love you, and we say together, Amen, 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 y punto. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Love you. See you.
Love you. Namaste.
Oh, Darla and Alden.
Hi. See you guys
Love you.
next
Love
week.
you.
Darla and
Love you
Alden
all.
will be with us next week. They'll be leading a couple of sessions next week. Bye, everybody.